All right, so there's two ways to use a foam roller, and you could potentially do this with any body part that you could foam roll, so your lats, your quads, your IT band. But you can use it as a warm-up to just increase circulation, and you can use it to actually increase the length of the muscle. But depending on which one you're intending to use it for, you'll apply the techniques a little differently. So the first one is really just to get the muscle to warm up. So you can sort of think of it as if my hands are feeling cold and I do this, where all I'm trying to do is create some friction just to help accelerate the blood flow to the area. So it moves much, much faster, but the intensity that you're applying pressure to the roller is a lot lower. Okay, so scale on 1 to 10, maybe this is like a 4 or 5. So for example, if I were to do this on my quads, I'm going to start, and anytime I'm foam rolling, I usually like to start the farthest away from the middle of the body and kind of work the way up. But with this style, it's a little bit less relevant. So what you'll do, so I've got it right above my knee for my quad, but I'm just going to move up and down, again, at that faster tempo. And I might do 15, 20 reps, just going all the way up and all the way down, but the intensity on this roll is really, really low. Okay, I feel a little bit, but nothing super severe. There's no grimacing, there's no wincing. Again, intensity-wise, maybe like a 4 or 5. So it's probably gonna take maybe a good like 30 seconds or so before I would move on then to the other leg and then the next body part. But again, that is really something that you would likely use maybe before a workout just to get blood flowing. Right now we're almost in November, so you're going to start to see, more of a demand for that kind of stuff prior to training. And the other way, and you could use this one, you could use this pre-training, you could use it post-training for recovery, you could use it on an off day after you started to experience some muscle soreness. But this is the one that's a little bit more akin to like getting a deep tissue massage. So it's a lot slower, okay, and the intensity is going to be a lot higher. Intensity is a perceived intensity, so your version of like a 9 or a 10 might look different than somebody else's. Just like when you go to a massage therapist, they'll ask you how the pressure feels. You want to take this to where you can tolerate it, but to where it still provides some sort of like a therapeutic effect. So when you're doing this style, I would definitely suggest start far away from the middle of the body and only go one direction. What you're actually trying to do is stimulate the lymphatic system and push things toward the middle of the body. So the lymphatic system can kind of help essentially drain and excrete it out. So if I was doing the quad, again, I'm going to start down by the knee, but I'm only going to go one direction. I'm not going to go backwards. Okay, I'm just going to take one single pass going all the way up toward the hip, but I'm going to do it a lot slower. So with something like this, I would find ways to make the pressure as intense as I could. So depending on your pain threshold, like now this is just the quads, this is not all body parts, but I could reduce the intensity by putting a knee down. Okay, I could raise the intensity by bringing this leg totally off the ground. I could even ramp it up further if I cross this leg over it, so now I've got the weight of 2 legs on that leg. But this is where I want to go slow, and I want to find a spot where the intensity really starts to pick up, and then you stay there. I'm going to do a couple of things. Again, think if you were on a table and a massage therapist were working on you. They don't just dance around and keep poking at tight spots. They find it. They allow their hands or their elbow or whatever they're using to allow the muscle to kind of calm down before they move on. It's sort of what you're trying to feel out here. So you want to do a couple of things. One, you might just start with just breathing through it, deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. You could even just apply then a little bit of movement, what's called a pin and a stretch, where I find that really tight spot, and as I feel it sort of settle in, I just start moving the muscle for just a couple of reps through some range of motion. Knowing that it's a tight spot, I don't have high expectations for how much range of motion there is, but just a little bit. And after, again, maybe a good 20, 30 seconds, if I feel like it's started to release, it doesn't mean that there's no pain there, but that it's dropped from like a 9 or a 10, maybe to like a 6 or a 7, and then I'm just going to keep going until I find the next spot. and then I would keep applying that concept all the way up to my hip or the end of the muscle. You know, again, if you're using your lats, it's going to look different, or you know, any other body part that you're foam rolling. But there's two different ways you can potentially apply it, so just make sure you're using the right method for the right goal. So there you go.